All right, what's up, guys? I'm kind of preparing. I just filled up some air in my tires. It's always good to do that before you go on a longer ride. This is the beginning of my... What was that? Anyways, it's the beginning of my longer riding session today, so I wanted to fill up and do all that stuff. But I wanted to talk to you guys about a few things I mentioned last week in my Friday videos. They're my personal motovlog videos. Well, personally, I think men's mental health, or just any mental health, really, is personal, and I feel like I should share my own stories when it comes to that stuff. I'm going to close this visor. I am trying something new with the mic right here, so if it makes too much noise, sorry, I'll try to fix it for next time. All right, so hopefully you guys can hear me. So my Friday videos are going to be a little more personal, and today I want to talk to you about the 5 most common types of anxiety disorders. Mainly just to jumpstart the Friday vlogs when it comes to anxieties, depressions, mental health, and then I'm going to jump more into men's mental health because men really don't talk about that kind of stuff. And before I jump into the first one, which is actually one that I have, I want you guys to know that I do have a Discord channel, and what that is basically this big chat room, and there's a bunch of us in there. There's like well over 250 people in there. Please join it up, join it up, because we do talk about mental health issues. I have 2 chat channels in there specifically for those that want to share their story, or just tell everyone how they had a good day that day. I actively participate in that because some days I have bad days, and lately I've been having some good days, so I've been sharing those also. But it's good to always just talk. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump. Oh man, I could definitely hear the exhaust. All right, so let's talk about the first one, guys. Generalized anxiety disorder, or GAD, G-A-D. I think that's how you say it. I'm taking the long way to Mount Lemmon. Mount Lemmon's way up there. It was snowing up there. It's so beautiful, but we're gonna go that way. Anyways, generalized anxiety disorder, it's what I have, and it is an anxiety disorder characterized by chronic anxiety. So it's like exaggerated worry and really bad tension. And I'm trying to not read this because this is one I have, and I want to explain it to you guys in my own way. But I think to delve deeper in that, I'll have that as its own video. But super worry, like a lot of worry when it's not even provoked. And I got people behind me. I'm gonna kind of speed up a little bit. It's not even provoked, or there's just there's nothing causing it. Just to jump on this one a little bit more, I'd get very frustrated and irritable when it comes to pretty much anything. One of the major symptoms is hypervigilance, to where it's what that means is that being vigilant is okay, doing make sure no one's coming out of this road, make sure no one's coming out of here, being able to see this, see that, see this, basically seeing stuff other people don't see, just because you're just so anxious and worried about something might happen. But then to be hyper vigilant, that is something that was very big for me, and I was I could see everything, and I could pick everything, little mannerisms out of people, know if someone's lying, know if someone wasn't lying. It caused too much problems, and that's part of the anxiety, that's part of the worry, and that's part of the stuff right there. So the generalized anxiety disorder is one of the more common anxiety disorders. I believe I read somewhere it said it's about 6% of the population of the United States, and it occurs more so in women than it does in men, but it does happen in men. And it is something that does affect your work life, home life, and everything. So generalized anxiety disorder, definitely look it up. I will have links in the description to each one of these. There's 5 common ones, and I will have links in the description to them. So I want you to check it out. If you feel like there might be something there, something is just in your brain, you feel like there's just something there, check out each of these, and then see if that matches kind of what you're feeling, and then go see your primary care physician or a doctor or somebody, and then hopefully get sent to a therapist, or maybe they can give you some type of medication, or just recommendation. So I'm not diagnosing you. I don't want you to diagnose yourself based off of what I'm saying here, but I just kind of want to give you a heads up when it comes to this kind of stuff. Generalized anxiety disorder is something that I have, so it's more of the one that I'm able to talk about a little bit more, and I will talk about it more in its own in-depth video. So the next one is Obsessive-Compulsive Disorder. Now, OCD, it's kind of characterized on TV a lot more than all the other ones because it's something that you can actually visually see. That is the compulsiveness. The obsessiveness is the unwanted thoughts that reoccur all the time. So like just being scared of like leaving the or scared of burning the house down accidentally. And that this is a great example. Is that being so scared of burning the house down, it keeps reoccurring, and it keeps coming back when you know for a fact it's not going to happen. And then the compulsiveness when it comes to that is going to check and make sure the stove is off. So the obsessive nature of thinking, unwanted thoughts, and then the compulsiveness of actually going there and double checking. That's where you see that usually in movies, you know, people like having little twitches, or they'll touch and they'll do this, they'll double check this, they'll have like a habit, a routine, and it's not because they want to, it's because they feel like they have to, and in order to quench that obsessive thought, the unwanted obsessive thought, the compulsion of doing it will relieve them of a little bit of stress and anxiety at that moment, but it doesn't last. It doesn't last at all. I have something kind of similar to that. At night I have to double check all the doors, but I feel like that's because of safety. You know, I want everyone to be safe, so I kind of have that. I don't think I have OCD on a grand scheme of things. I still think it's just a generalized anxiety disorder, but OCD is a very common anxiety disorder. It's not anything bad. It's not like you have this terrible mental illness. It's an anxiety disorder, and if you treat it like an anxiety disorder, or just like anything really, like if you have back pain, wouldn't you take medications or go seek help for back pain that's, you know, consistent, chronic? Same thing. If you feel like, man, these thoughts keep popping in my head, thoughts, and you know, I keep doing this, don't you think it'd be a good idea to go? I'm gonna go right now. Go get some help. So the obsessive-compulsive disorder is a very common type of anxiety disorder. It is an anxiety disorder. Now the next one is a panic disorder. Panic disorders are really scary, to be quite honest. I've only had maybe 3 or 4 panic attacks in my lifetime, but I've known some people that have had them, and it truly does feel like your heart is, you're having a heart attack. You can have heart palpitations, and what heart palpitations are is the fluttering in your chest. You actually feel your chest moving. You actually feel it right here, and I've had that a few times, and that was brought on by great stress on top of my anxiety and depression. So I remember having those panic attacks, and I've had a few heart palpitations and panic attacks, and just an overwhelming sense of fear and an overwhelming sense of dread, or just the emotions just rushing in, like just full-blown like sadness just hitting you hard, full-blown fear, full-blown anger. Just it causes your body to react in that way. So the heart's racing and it can't go down. I was at like 130 beats per minute when it was doing the flutter, and I was laying in bed. And it just hit, and that is an anxiety disorder. It's a panic disorder. Very scary. It does manifest into the physical realm, more so than some of these other ones. So if you are all of a sudden feeling like you're racing, like your heart is racing, or your body's tensing up and you're sweating, and you just feel like these massive emotions, like it's a fight or flight situation, because that's basically what it is. You're in a panic. Your body's in a panic for no reason, when there's no apparent danger, when there's no apparent anything, and it's mainly just stress, or it's brought on by chemical imbalances in the brain. So get that double checked. Go, like I said, with the generalized anxiety disorder. I got somebody behind me. It's like I'm talking, and I can slow down a little bit. Get that checked. Make sure that that's what it is, and it's not an underlying medical condition or something like that. Next one is PTSD. Now this is something that has been brought to the forefront since the Iraq and Afghanistan wars and everything, and a lot of people think PTSD can only happen to soldiers of that nature, but basically what PTSD is, a traumatic event that has happened to you or around you. So like you didn't have to get like let's use a car accident example. Let's say you were in a car accident and you were perfectly fine, no injuries whatsoever, but someone else died or somebody else was severely injured. You could have PTSD from that incident, And what PTSD does when it comes to the anxiety disorder part is that you will have these reoccurring flashbacks to it where your heart will race. You'll have like the panic disorder attached to it. You'll have an overall sense of dread and worry. And it's based off of a traumatic event that has happened to you or has happened to somebody near you at the time. So it is something that is very serious, and it doesn't just happen to soldiers. It happens to firefighters, police officers. It can happen to children that have been abused. It can happen to adults, like I mentioned, in a car accident type thing. It can happen to anybody, and PTSD can be minor or it can be extremely severe. So if there's something that happened to you that was traumatic, physically traumatic, and you have these reoccurring thoughts, you have these reoccurring dreams, you have these reoccurring unwanted things happening to you where it's causing you to feel some type of anxiety or worry, you might possibly have PTSD. Like I said, I'm not diagnosing you, just please go get it checked. If it is affecting your life and affecting your overall happiness. So that is something you definitely want to get checked, if that's what's happening. So the next one I think a lot of people actually kind of do have, and this is a social phobia or the social anxiety disorder, or SAD. This is basically just people not being socially, they just don't like social situations. You know, they don't like, what's this going on here? They don't like social situations. So like being afraid of eating in front of people. Like you literally have to wait for someone else to, or you have to wait for everyone to leave in order for you to feel comfortable to eat. That might be a minor situation with social anxiety disorder. I don't think for men like peeing next to someone else, but like maybe like a shy pooper, you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like that very small symptom of social anxiety or social phobia. But there can be very extreme versions of that to where you will cancel or not go to certain events because all of a sudden you just have this built up anxiety. Like you make a plan to do it and you think I can go through it, I can go through it, I can go through it. And then at the end of, like right when it happens, you cancel it because you get worked up. It's like, oh, I can't do it, I can't do it. I don't know why that person was waving at me. You get worked up and everything, and it causes you to miss out on social events. Being overly scared to talk in front of others, especially if it's going to be job related. All of a sudden you just feel like you cannot speak in front of others, you can't talk to somebody, you look away all the time. You might have a social phobia. It's not just being introverted, it's not just being, you know, shy, because you might think that is your normal. A lot of these things, it's like, well, I'm normally panicked, I'm normally, you know, just anxious, I'm normally shy and don't like speaking to people. Well, it could be that your normal is you've always had anxiety and you don't know what a true normal is. So being super shy to the point where it affects you extremely negative, to not be able to talk to people, sit at a table with others because you're so shy, or something that's going on, you might have a social phobia, and there are things that can treat that. All these things are treatable, either with psychotherapy. That sounds bad, but that's just therapy. That's just talking to a therapist, and there's certain things that they can do. Same thing with medications. You can take certain medications that will relax that situation if it's biological. But there's things out there that you should get checked. If any of those things kind of ring a bell with you, please just go see your doctor and let them know. And you have to be open and honest when it comes to talking to your doctor on this part, is that you just have to let them know. Well, guys, I am riding up Mount Lemmon, and I'm just enjoying this, and I just wanted to make this more of a personal thing. I will be talking to you guys about generalized anxiety disorder and a few other ones that I personally have, share my stories. Like I said, join the Discord channel, because in there we talk about our own stories. And plus, if you don't want to talk about your own stories, you can go in there and look and listen, or look and read, and then just join the regular hangout and just talk about motorcycles, post your bike pictures and everything. But with that said, I would like to thank my $20 Patreon supporters. I'm not going to say your last names. I don't know if that's what you guys wanted, but I just want to say thank you to Robert and Cecil and Connor. Thank you so much for being my $20 Patreon supporters. Here's my shout out to you guys. You guys are basically helping me produce this channel and basically do what I'm doing. So thank you so much, and thank you to all the other supporters, all the $10 supporters, and 1, 5, 6, 10, whatever it is that you guys can do, or whatever it is you want to do. Thank you so much, but thank you once again, Robert, Cecil, and Connor, so much for the $20 support. I appreciate it. With that said, I hope you guys ride safe, be safe, and I'll definitely see you guys soon. I'll see you on Monday.